What's up, guys? Hopefully you can hear me okay. I don't know how many people there are. Oh, just cool. Hi, my name is Cassady Bell. Welcome to my weird art studio. Working on a really big drawing today. Let's see if I can tilt things today. Tilt it so I can. Yeah, so working on this drawing. Let's see if I can tilt this down. Hopefully there's not too much weird shadows in here. Cool. Oh, how's everyone's quarantine going? I think by now I'm about to be not quite bored to death, but getting there. Luckily, being an artist, I have a lot of things to work on, which is kind of cool. Been doing a lot of like stickers and screen prints because I have a little mini screen printing studio in my garage. And it's a really time consuming process, so it's nice during a time when I have all the time in the world. Really sit down and focus on all the little nuances of making a screen print. And then also really big, giant, detailed drawings, I guess. Hoping to get some t-shirts and other clothing items out in the future, because that's been something I was working on in the past, but I guess I've been trying to focus more on physical, smaller, original physical pieces that I can sell. This one, I don't know if you can see, it's like all Metatron's cube, or not Metatron's cube, but platonic solids. And this really big and really detailed mandala on top of it. Trying to think. I also have a nice backyard in where I live, which is amazing during this time. I've been planting seeds in my garden and hanging out in my lawn, and which has been really nice. I can't imagine being stuck in an area where I didn't have like some kind of outdoor thing. I started growing some bonsai trees, which also is something really time consuming. I think that's been my main goal, is find the most time consuming thing that I can and try to learn how to do it, or at least focus on it if I already know how to do it. I was thinking the next one is going to be ramen noodles, like hand pulled ramen noodles, because I heard that's really hard to learn how to do. So you might see some homemade bowls of ramen in my feed soon. I'm not sure how long, I can't remember how long it took me to transfer this design on here, so I'm not really sure how exciting this drawing will be in an hour or so long feed, because I'm not sure how fast I can draw this. Hopefully it's somewhat exciting to look at. I have to work slowly and meticulously away from where I'm putting my hand down, because I'm using this quill and nib, or whatever you call it, and when you put the ink down, it's super wet, and I have a tendency of getting stoned and putting my hand on top of it and then smearing it all over the place, which is really terrible when I've spent like 100 hours on something. I've also been playing music, which a lot of people apparently don't know. I tend to dabble in like DJing music and stuff, which I also like music that most people either have not heard of or really don't like, which is kind of funny. I really like breakcore music, which is kind of like drum and bass music, but if you made it really chaotic and really fast. Um, let's see. It says I'm dropping frames, but seems to look okay. Hopefully it looks alright to people. Also, I have a hairless cat, and he gets really neurotic when I leave the room, apparently. And especially neurotic when I'm cooped up in the house with him forever. So you might hear him in the background screaming like a madman because he's got no friends, unfortunately, other than me. He gets a little lonely or something. I don't know. If he could talk, I would be really curious to know what all of his screaming is about. Um, yeah, and trying to think. I think I've been cooped up in my house pretty much, in my backyard or whatnot for. Trying to think now. I feel like it's been probably exactly a month since I was out and about in the world. And a crazy story, which I've told a couple of my friends, but I have not been at work for probably almost 2 months now because I had plans to go to the United Kingdom literally right as all of the coronavirus thing started cracking off. So I landed in London the beginning of March, and I was on my way to a very big rave party called Bang Face in England, which is probably the biggest and funnest party that I've ever been to. The rowdiest, fastest music of all time, like very, very like 250 beats per minute, just like going, nonstop on like 4 stages for like 5 days, 24 hours a day. Anyway, it's big too. It's like there's like maybe 4 or 5 thousand people there, and it's inside in the shittiest place ever in England. Um, so me and my two friends are on our way there, and all of a sudden we get to England, and everyone is texting us like, "Yo, you should just turn around and come home because they just announced like a travel ban to Europe and all this crazy stuff, like as we all know." And I was just like, screw it. I'm just, fuck that. I'm going to this party. So we went to the party and then come out of there and we're all just, I mean, we had a great time, but we then are very exhausted and just trying to get home. And our flights got canceled. Fucking, we had to reschedule everything. We had to change our travel plans a fair amount. And then we were hearing stories of people getting stuck in airport for like 6-7 hours. So we were trying to figure out like how are we going to get home, or are we going to get home? And we were in London in the middle of the beginning of all this lockdown stuff. So just standing in the middle of the street, like it felt like I was in some kind of apocalyptic movie. It was like in one of the busier parts of London, and there's just no people around. It's kind of cool actually. And then then we flew home and we had to like change airports. That's why they canceled our ticket, because they started shutting down airports for international flights. So we were supposed to go to Minneapolis, and instead we went to New York. And in New York, they have the CDC standing there in like freaking hazmat suits as we get off the airplane, taking everyone's temperature. And I'm like just sweating to death because I had just been at a rave party for 5 days, like not taking care of my body and staying up and not getting enough sleep and dancing like a crazy person. And I'm in a room full of people. So like if anyone's going to get sick from a viral infection, it's going to be the guy standing in a room of like 3,000 people, like getting all sweaty together. And so, yeah, got off the plane, and CDC shoots the thing at me, and my temperature is fine. And then I flew, I think, from New York to Portland, and made it home. Sat in my house, kind of nervously, honestly, for a couple weeks, because I was like, well, shit, I might have this thing, and maybe I'm gonna have to go to the hospital or whatever. But yeah, I just ended up being fine, and just got a lot of gardening and art done so far. Also, been working on oil painting recently, and I feel like being stuck in my house has been really great for me learning the nuances of oil painting. Obviously, I'm still have a long way to go, but you could check out some of my Instagram stories, or I think I posted some stuff on my actual page too, of me painting Ferrari on fire, which has been my last live stream project, and just the last couple of days of painting. Let's see here. So also, hopefully some of you know that I'm also a tattooer, and I cannot tattoo anymore because of all this. I really miss tattooing a lot, but I think it's something I kind of got forced to take a break from, and I was talking about it with one of my friends on the phone the other day, that somebody who works all the time, nonstop, although I'm not really making much money now compared to when I was tattooing, it is kind of nice to take a little vacation. But after all this, I will most likely be booking appointments and trying to take on some new projects. Obviously, we'll have a pretty good cachet of artwork from all this sitting around. And if those of you don't know, I'm an abstract artist, obviously working on this crazy weird thing. But I really like doing black work tattoos, and recently gotten a lot more into super dark, lots and lots of black, which I've been enjoying a lot more. It's a fun thing because there's a type of tattoo where like you're really focused on making everything super precise and perfect as far as line work and your shading and your colors and all that goes. But like, there's also these solid black artists that are, it's really difficult to make something perfect and solid. And just to be able to like have perfected that is its own form of, perfection and precise tattooing, which is kind of cool. So I've been trying to blend those styles into my other, kind of swirly, psychedelic line work and all that kind of stuff. Maybe with some geometric stuff thrown in there. Although I think until I was cooped up in my house, I was kind of going away from the very heavy geometric patterny kind of stuff, because I don't know. I think as you evolve as an artist, you want to do something different than you've been doing for a long time. So I've been trying to think of just ways to change it up and make something new and explore my creativity, my own artistic juices, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if for some reason my lights in my house all flicker sometimes. It's like I have ghosts in my house. Hopefully it's not too annoying. I imagine you can probably see that in the camera. Yeah, the other fun thing that I actually been missing a lot, and I've gotten to focus a fair amount on in the quarantine days, is I I've been cooking a lot, and I don't know. Some people know that I really love cooking, and I really love food, and I tend to travel a lot, so I go and eat a lot of food, and I like to come home and try to either like imitate things that I've already eaten or just cook my own dishes. And so I'm not trying to start a cooking show or anything, but I definitely it's been fun to just try to cook some weird new different things. And once again, going back to that same theme, things that are maybe really time consuming that I normally wouldn't focus on. I made tamales the other day, but I made tamales from what was it? I made a beef roast, with a bunch of really good like Thai and Korean spices, and then I took all of the Thai Korean roast and I made tamales out of it. It's kind of like a Thai Korean Mexican white guy fusion. I don't know. It was really good. And I've been wanting, like I said, I wanted to make ramen noodles really bad. I think that would be a cool skill to come out of the quarantine and be like, check it out, I can make homemade ramen noodles. Can you? And I've already made some pasta in the past. Maybe it won't be that difficult. All right, I think I don't know, I'm getting to a weird angle here. I get really paranoid that the ink is still wet. Let me see if I can turn this. I have this problem where it can't draw horizontal lines very good, or at least I don't have a lot of steadiness, so I tend to turn my paper as I'm drawing. And I'm just using these nibs that I get at the art store and the little like quill handle thing. A lot of this stuff is sold for calligraphy, but I really like these big, fat, wide nibs because I find that when I'm doing like a pen and ink drawing, this ink is way darker than any kind of pen really is. And I kind of like it's got this rough look to it. You could also use a brush and India ink. I guess I'm just using, like waterproof drawing ink. And I'm on this really nice cotton watercolor paper that's like indestructible. I think this pad is made by Arches or something. But there's lots of brands. As long as you go really high end, made from cotton, usually I think is the way to go. And then, once I'm done with all these lines, which I guess has taken me a fair amount of time, I'm probably going to come back in with some brushes and some ink and kind of color in and layer a lot of these different areas. Give it some shading and some darkness, some contrast. I'm not sure if watching me draw 50 lines in a row is really super exciting, so hopefully it's semi-exciting. Or at least satisfying to watch. I am excited too that today is Bicycle Day, which I was actually unaware of until recently. But I got my bicycle all hitched up and got some other things to go with that. And I think after this I might go ride around in my neighborhood. I live in a really beautiful neighborhood in Portland, and I ride on the side of this little hill called Mount Tabor. There's a really amazing park on top of Mount Tabor, or on the hill. And yeah, just been riding my bike around and playing classical music on a loudspeaker, which apparently my neighborhood seems to love. And yeah, with a little bit of enhancement there, and I think today I will definitely go celebrate Bicycle Day after I draw. Been trying to get outside as much as I can. I know it's hard when you can't really be around people, but whatever. Let's see here. Turn this around here. It's also kind of ironic that it's springtime and my yard is full of flowers and there's all these flowering trees out all around. And so, of course, I've started to get a little bit of allergies. And the only place that I've really been out to is the post office because I've been shipping out prints and stickers and all the things that I've been selling. And I'm standing in line and just I keep trying don't sniffle your nose at all because people are going to think that you're infected or something. It's kind of a weird feeling. Alright, let's see. I'm pretty happy too. In Portland, we have lots of delicious food, which is probably one of my biggest things that I miss from the world. It's not even hanging out with people. I'm I just want to eat some sushi or something. But Portland, the restaurants have done some really amazing delivery options, which I've been totally taking advantage of. Yeah, and I guess to plug myself a little bit, I've been holed up like all of us artists in my house. I've been out of, I haven't been working, like I said, for almost 2 months now, and I stupidly had a vacation planned right before this, so I just went and spent too much money thinking I was coming right back to work, which really sucks. So I've just been having to spend my savings, and I still got to pay my rent and all my bills and stuff. So I got tons of awesome stuff for sale, and I have an online store. I think it's just bigcartel.cassadybell.com. And there's all kinds of weird stuff in there. I got clothes, and I have prints, and I have sticker packs, and all things that I make with my own hands in my basement here that I'm sitting in. And a lot of it's started out as hobbies, but it's kind of my only form of income to feed myself and try to pay my rent, so I don't know if I can get evicted during this, but yeah, it's I'm sure we're all in the same boat out there, and I've been trying to keep a positive outlook on all of this and just focus on making some cool art. So if you got any extra coins to spare and you want a cool painting of a Lamborghini on fire hanging on your wall, or some platonic solids or whatever, I'll just be constantly creating art over here, and tell your friends. And also, super thank you to Grassroots. I mean, we've been doing collabs for years now, and they've given me the opportunity to produce so much amazing art, and get it out into the world. So there's random dudes walking around wearing my hats, and random girls wearing my dresses and stuff. That's super rad. And it's actually weird because I've run into people like at a party or something, and I'm like, holy shit, bro, you're wearing a hat that I designed. That's crazy. Um, and that's just a cool ass feeling. So thanks for that, and not to mention opportunity to do this live stream, and they had me out to Chicago a couple years ago and did my like a solo art show, and like I feel like we've done a lot of stuff together, so it's been really cool. Thank you for that, and hopefully in this quarantine I'll come up with some crazy wild new designs, and we can do maybe see some future Grassroots Cassady collabs come out. Yeah, I'm hoping it's sunny outside. I can't really tell. The weather has been beautiful in Portland, which I'm stoked because a lot of the time it's very rainy. And I'm like, man, it would suck if I'm stuck here and I can't go outside because it's pouring down rain, which is often the case. Yeah, and I own a tattoo shop here in Portland. It's called Sideshow Alley Tattoo. I also have, 4 other people that work with me in the shop, and so it's a weird time because I literally hang out with these guys like 6 days a week for the last 5 years or more, and now my friends that I see every day and joke around with, I don't get to hang out with. It's been a little lonesome. Been listening to lots of Western, like, what do they call it? Spaghetti Western music. If you don't know, spaghetti Western music is amazing, and it's like what makes the Western the Western. It's like, the good, the bad, the ugly, or all the Clint Eastwood movies, all these like actually fairly boring movies, but the music in those movies is incredible. So, and it's got this kind of strange, ominous feel to this apocalypse that we're in right now. And I hope I've been doing some DJ live streams on my own like Instagram account, but I'm hoping we briefly spoke about it, but I think I might do some on the Grassroots ones too. So if you guys are into really really rowdy electronic music, if they let me, if I don't get kicked off for being too crazy, I probably will do that here in the near future when there's any open slots. I've been getting really into this Frenchcore music, which is kind of like, if you're familiar with electronic music, there's a genre called hardcore, which is basically just boom, 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 like relentless. What they call 4 on the floor, because it's a beat at every measure. But yeah, so it's kind of like that, but with instead of it being like realistic drum beats, it's like these really really intense electronic sounds. So it's probably some of the most abrasive music I've heard in a long time. Oh yeah, and I mention it's like 230 beats per minute or something crazy. Like it's really fast. But I don't know. It's really rowdy. It gets me hyped up. It makes me want to dance to it. So I've been getting down on that in my house by myself. My house is soundproof, which is freaking awesome. So I can play music at any hour as loud as I want, and my neighbors have never complained. And I definitely flex that a little bit because I like get drunk at 3 in the morning and just throw music on super loud. Hopefully this is going to look cool. I think this might be one of the most ambitious pieces that I've taken on during the quarantine. I have some apps, that I've been using on my iPad that I draw all these mandalas and stuff with. And then I'm also using Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and um, a number of other programs to kind of arrange things and come up with different form. Like Illustrator I use to make all these shapes in the middle. Um, but so anyway, I've been using all these graphic design software because I'm designing designs for tattoos, and it doesn't really have to be like a nice finished piece of art. It just has to be the design. So to get the lines, you don't need to go through any kind of specialty like, oh, it has to be this beautiful, thing. So I found apps that I can draw like mandalas and stuff with that just repeat all the lines. So it's interesting and funny because it takes me literally a couple minutes to draw something like this because I just have to draw this one little sliver of it and then print that out, and I transferred it by tracing over every line by hand, and it's crazy how much time it takes to go from something that took me a few minutes just to transfer this alone. I think probably I've put 10 hours into it. And yeah, we'll see. We're not even into an hour now, and I've barely put a dent on this. And then once I get all the lines done, we're gonna go straight into paint. So we'll probably put another, I don't know, 10 hours or so of paint on top of it. It's definitely a slow process. But also, if you want to hang this on your wall later, I'll probably sell it after the fact. And I have been working on some new stuff too, which I haven't really talked about or shown anyone or like said anything on, I guess, in my online presence. But I've been thinking about doing a print series of Metatron's Cube, which are just done in all sorts of different styles. Maybe something that comes in like a 4 or 5 print set so that you could put them all in a row, or you could have them as a multi-piece thing. Maybe even go with a sticker pack that comes with it, where you get like a sticker of everyone too. I know people like stickers. Yeah, I've noticed though, like during quarantine, I think we've all kind of seen some unprecedented things that it's made me think a lot about our world that we're in. Just kind of good, bad. I think it's cool to see people coming together and see just a level of like community that I knew was there. I live in a great community, so I don't think it's like unheard of that people are nice to each other or whatever. But it's been cool to see how many people have kind of stepped up to help people out, and I think it's cool, like, because I hope that this is something that will move our world forward a little bit. With all the craziness, hopefully will come something a little more positive. And I actually truly believe that it will, unless the whole entire world just collapses in on itself and all the conspiracy theories are true, but that's probably not the case. I would be doing more hand-printed t-shirts here in my house, but I don't have a stock of t-shirts, and they are just really big investment to get into, so I decided to not do those. But I do have a bunch of stuff through Grassroots that I think is 30% off, and I'll probably be doing some made-to-order stuff through my Big Cartel site also. And if you guys don't know about my Instagram and all that, I think all of that stuff is right on the screen, which is awesome. Yeah. I think there might be a link to my Big Cartel through my website, maybe. And yeah, just out here drawing up a storm and painting pictures of Lamborghinis. I guess that's my new thing. I was doing. I think I started off the quarantine with paintings from The Lighthouse. So Willem Dafoe, if you haven't seen that movie, it's a random weird thing to mention, but that movie is incredible. And so I painted all these portraits of Willem Dafoe, or I painted 2 portraits of Willem Dafoe and a painting of Robert Pattinson. And then I moved on to clown paintings because I have always kind of loved circus stuff and clowns, and apparently a lot of people don't like that. So yeah, I painted a bunch of clowns, and apparently no one wants to buy a clown painting during quarantine, which not that I paint them to sell them, but it'd be nice if I sold at least one of them. But I have a whole wall of portraits, so I've been trying to accumulate more of them. And then, yeah, and for some reason just randomly popped in my head that I wanted to paint a painting of a Lamborghini crashed on the road. So I'm going to do a whole series of those. I got at least 2 of them because I have another one already mapped out and ready to go. And I'll probably be doing more live streaming of me painting. Maybe even try to record some like time lapses or something. I think somewhere I have some camera equipment. Hopefully my cat isn't too loud. He's the loudest cat I've ever heard in my life. He's a little sphinx, and he literally screams like a child when he's alone in the house. And I imagine he probably does it all day, every day. And then until he just like gets tired and goes to sleep. I've been trying to stay as healthy as I can during all this thing too, which I hope other people are doing. It's giving me time to focus on doing some yoga and some stretching. I know that's like a pretty woo-woo thing to throw out there, but I've been feeling pretty good about having time to focus on the positive aspects of my life. And like I said, I'm going to go ride my bike here in just a minute. I think that should be a good time. Play some music from the neighbors. Apparently, I live in a neighborhood with lots of old people, so I figured out if you want to play really loud music when you're going through your neighborhood, the trick is to play like really loud classical music. If you play like Beethoven or some Strauss or something, like your old people neighbors are not going to be like, turn that down. And I have a really nice boombox, so yeah, I've noticed. I'm especially a fan of Beethoven, so I've just been playing it obscenely loud in my neighborhood, and yeah, it's interesting because I also like maybe some French like opera music or something. You just gotta get into the music that they're into, and even if you're not into that, like I think if you're old, you're just like, oh yes, I can appreciate it. Yeah, and I've had a lot of good reviews, a lot of thumbs up while I'm riding my bike around, playing my classical music. Also, thank you to everyone who says the flaming Lambo is sick. I had a lot of fun painting it, and I'm almost nearly done. I've just been honing the details, and I apparently can paint a picture of a car, so that's cool. That's the first car I ever painted. Looks like we're coming up on it here. I think it's important to say, to support all of your local artists. As you know, I heard somebody was saying that when something like this happens, you like I think all the artists are like, oh man, I'm a non-essential business, and I have to close down, and I don't have work now, which is really upsetting. But if you really think about it, especially from a perspective of a common person who maybe is not an artist, pretty much everything in your world that is for some reason cool or fun to look at or has some level of appealing thing to it, like in general it is because of art. And I even consider food and all of that to be part of that. So it's like anything that's fun to look at and delicious and just like I guess there are things that are inherently like that, but you know what I'm saying. Anything that's got good design to it or is aesthetically pleasing generally is because some artist somewhere had that idea. And I think that's important to think about in all of this times, because a lot of us artists are now here sitting at home, and really the only way that we can make money is by drawing and painting, which I guess I do feel fortunate. There's probably some jobs out there that they don't have that kind of work at home aspect. And I also, if you can maybe, I guess you can't really see behind me, but I have piles and piles and piles of art supplies that I've been hoarding over the years. So I am very fortunate for that. Now I can sit here and draw you guys really, really big, crazy, weird drawings because I have all the stuff to do it. I also been watching a lot of movies. I love movies. I tend to put movies on in the background when I'm working on art, so I'm kind of half watching them. But I know that people have been holed up in their houses, and I'm trying to think of. I watched some really weird. Oh, my quarantine movie recommendation, I'd say, is definitely watch Come to Daddy. It's a new Elijah Wood movie. That's really weird and fucked up. And there's this very creepy Hansel and Gretel movie. Definitely watch The Lighthouse too, which I was talking about earlier, because if you haven't seen that, then you're missing out on life and on the greatness of Willem Dafoe. So yeah, you can see the long and arduous process of this stuff. Also, I mean, this is, I guess, I don't have to do the under like transfer when I'm doing a tattoo, but a lot of people, when they see a crazy tattoo, they're just like, oh wow, that's cool, you got a crazy tattoo. Which is probably the worst and most condescending impression ever. But I think a lot of people fail to realize it's like, man, to get something with all those lines and all that detail and stuff takes a long, 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 long time. I think it's pretty common with tattooers to have clients come in and be like, oh, I want this thing. And they're like, but I only got like $100 and I want it to take like 2 hours. I'm like, well, you can't do that. It's part of the beauty of art is that someone like me sat down and spent 300 hours or whatever working on something. I guess 300 is a little high. I think the biggest tattoo I've done so far is 200 hours, which is the most ambitious project I've worked on to date. It's a full body suit. We're almost done. We were literally probably would have been done by now, or in the next, coming months of the year if we didn't have the quarantine, because I've basically tattooed everything except for this woman's stomach, and it's all incredibly detailed and super time consuming stuff. Really excited to be done when all this is finished. So yeah, this has been a little slice of my life here. Hopefully I'll get into doing some DJ stuff here, maybe even later on today. I'm not sure what the schedule of the Grassroots streams are, so you can always check out my Instagram. I've been doing a lot of live streams and at least just like fun stories of what I've been doing, trying to stay entertained. I think that's important. Hopefully me sharing some of my dorky things that I do in my house by myself will help inspire some other people. I'm sure there's a fair amount of folks out there who are just sitting around, maybe getting depressed or already were depressed, and I think it's easy to get sucked into your own head when you're sitting around alone, especially people that are not introverted normally, and you're somebody who goes out every night, goes to the bar, or goes and hangs out with your friends, or you're going to the park every day. I think it's really easy to get super down if you're stuck in your house now. Not that I didn't do those things, but I also spend a lot of time alone and a lot of time holed up in my house, and I think I was maybe born to do this. Although, I think if I could do this and also have money, have an income, then it would be a little bit better. Other than that, I lived alone in a cabin by myself for probably 2 years right after I got out of high school, and with very little visitors. It's like up on top of a mountain in Williams, Oregon, and super beautiful. I just had a little solar panel on my roof, and I had a little record player and some records, a bunch of books, obviously drawing stuff, and that was my life. I just sat there and drew drawings and read books and listened to Frank Zappa, and I've always had a hard time being around people for long periods of time. So I think on the other end of that, if you're super extroverted, it's okay that you're maybe feeling funky, because I get it. It's probably really hard. Hopefully people are tapping into their inner artists, or their their inner chef and their inner musician, and whatever you got. I actually been wanting to learn the accordion, and I have an accordion, so who knows. I feel like it's a really difficult instrument to learn how to play, so you might not see any videos of me playing the accordion, but I do want to learn it, and I have one, so I might as well try during the quarantine. Anyway, I guess this is the end of the feed, so maybe quick plug. Obviously everything's on sale on Grassroots, as far as I know. Don't quote me on that. Lots of things are on sale, let's say that, and including the things that I collaborated on, leggings and all that kind of stuff. Also, check out my Instagram account. It's on the screen there. It's just Cassady Bell. It's Cassady with an A, not with an I. I know that everyone wants to spell it with an I. And CassadyBell.com is basically just a portfolio, kind of more of a static one than my Instagram account. But there should be also links to all of my, my Big Cartel and all that. Big Cartel links probably also on Instagram to make things real confusing for all y'all. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Watch me slowly draw a drawing. Hopefully it's been sort of exciting. And yeah, keep a lookout. I'll be doing lots of other either live streams or releasing more artwork. Please check back to the online store and my Instagram just for updates on any of that kind of stuff. And like I said, hopefully in the near future, we'll see some more Grassroots Cassady Bell collabs coming. Thanks, y'all. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. I think I might just hang out a couple more minutes here and keep drawing. Draw. This one I'm glad has been coming out pretty good too, because I have done some paintings like this where I get about this far in and then I accidentally fuck it up, drop some freaking ink on it or something, I'm pretty klutzy, so some of those pieces where I'm like, oh, I have to make it all, maybe if you see a piece that's got a bunch of splatters all over it that looks like it's on purpose, it's probably because I accidentally fucked it up at some point and I couldn't make it perfect.